What's up, DanDans? My name is Ian. Welcome to episode 2 of the 616 Entertainment Wrestling Podcast. Now, I'm recording this intro separately. This is the day after I recorded the interview. My guest this week is Marvelous Matt Knicks, who, quick rundown, is the owner and founder of Freelance Wrestling in Chicago, the best independent wrestling in the Midwest by far. He is one half of the Freelance Wrestling Tag Team Championships. He's wrestled in the UK, he's wrestled in Mexico, he's wrestled all over the United States, but other than just being a wrestler, I want to just put over the fact that Nick is like one of my better friends in life. You know what I'm saying? I met Nick 4 or 5 years ago at a Resistance Pro show. The same show where I met Billy Corgan, but he and I did not become friends. I met Marvelous Matt Knicks and Big C Chris Castro on that same night, and I had no idea that those two guys were going to become like two of my better friends. But they did, because they're just both solid fucking dudes. This episode specifically, we are talking about Marvelous Matt Knicks. And I asked him about his 2017. I asked him about his ups and downs across the year. What were some of his favorite matches? What were some of his bad matches? I want to know if he had any injuries in 2017. And then we start looking forward to 2018. You know what I'm saying? Because we recorded this on January 1st. You guys aren't going to hear it till February. Because I'm putting a couple of these in the can. You know what I'm saying? I only got so much time. But we're looking forward at 2018. And after the, your career interview portion of the show, we start talking about his favorite wrestlers of all time, some of his favorite matches of all time. This is just a really cool interview. You know, Nick has been on my other show, the 616 Entertainment Podcast, where we just bullshit and we hang out as friends. We talk about whatever comes up. He's been on that show like 15, 16 times, and we don't talk about wrestling too much on that show. It's more of just whatever's on our minds and whatever we want to talk about. But this one specifically, I handled it a little differently. It's more interview style, and Nick is the fucking man, and he's had an awesome life and awesome experiences. So this is just a little taste of that. Here is Marvelous Matt Knicks on episode 2 of the 616 Entertainment Wrestling Podcast. We'll save that for the other podcast. This is the wrestling podcast, so we'll kick it off immediately with 2017 just ended at the time we're recording this.
Yeah.
I don't know when anyone's going to hear this. Probably late January, early February. So today's January 1st. 2017 is gone. How was 2017 in wrestling for you?
2017 in wrestling for me was, honestly, I think it was the most productive year for me.
Yeah.
As far as a wrestler. I got a lot of different opportunities, new opportunities. Mm-hmm. I traveled internationally for the first time, wrestling in Canada, in the UK, and in Mexico, as well as bouncing back and forth, West Coast, East Coast, and anywhere else in between in the United States as well. So yeah, it was a pretty productive year for me, I'd say. Probably the most since I've started wrestling.
Anybody who wants to see all those adventures can watch the Matt Knicks show.
If you want.
On YouTube, youtube.com/The
Matt Knicks.
The Matt Knicks. KNICKS. Dude, I fucking love when you do those. Like the UK tour and the Mexican tour and all of those. I love those.
See, I started making those and I was like, oh, this will be fun to do. And then at the time, a couple other people that are like more prominent than myself were like doing like those kind of vlog videos. Mm-hmm. And they're way better editors than I am, and like have a way bigger following. So I was kind of just like, I don't want to like keep doing this now because, you know, the audience is already going to be drawn to that person, like kind of just like on the outskirts. So I was like, I'll give it a rest and maybe I'll bring it back. And then, like you said, for the UK tour, I brought it back and documented the entire trip there. And I've kind of just been like trying to keep it up as much as possible.
Yeah.
You know, whenever I go on trips.
The artist is stirring hot chocolate in the other
room. Whenever I go on trips and stuff, I try to keep... and it's very hard. I didn't realize how hard it is to be like, something's going on or whatever, you're just like, this is cool. And it's like, oh shit, I should probably film this. Yep. Like, every time. I'm getting way better at it though. Like, I kind of keep like my hand on my gun, so to speak. You know, like whenever I going somewhere like that I think might be, promising. And
How often do you have guys who are just like, "We stop fucking filming this"?
only Stevie.
Only Stevie.
Only him. He hates it when I film.
Why?
He's just, I don't know. He's kind of a private person.
Yeah.
So like, I think he's, and I can agree with it. A lot of times it's like it's nice to have a moment, just to have a moment.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also like greedy as fuck, and I was like, I want to like, I don't know. I think it's fun to share it with people, and a lot of the stuff like. I want to film and document it because it's fun to show like my family, and if I ever have kids one day, like it'd be like, hey, this is what I did on this trip or whatever,
and you're not always gonna fucking remember it, and you were there, about it. Showing your family and your friends is fucking cool, and I mean, I do have those moments of like, oh, this is just a private thing, let's enjoy it. Like at concerts, I might record like one chorus and then just enjoy the rest of the show. Just like, oh, here, I captured my memory from it. But if something funny's going on, I'm gonna film that shit.
Oh, hell yeah.
I wish I filmed the Lime Challenge from the last Freelance Wrestling show that we talked about on 616 Entertainment Podcast episode number 197, I believe it was 197. That was amazing. Like, it was an amazing moment that relates to wrestling, and I didn't capture it anywhere, so I got to keep it. But I did talk about it on the show.
Yeah,
so there is a recorded memory of it. What was your highlight of 2017 wrestling wise? Or highlights if there's a couple.
This is my poor memory, but I think 2017 was the first time I went to California and did Championship Wrestling from Hollywood.
Yeah.
And that was a big thing for me, like learning how to wrestle TV and being in California for the first time. That was really cool. Traveling to the UK and wrestling out there for a couple weeks was huge for me because I had never been outside of the country before. And
let alone to go outside and do what the fuck you love to do.
Yeah, like it was wild. And in the last week I was there by myself, so it was like, this is real. Like I got to figure this out. How I'm getting from here to here and where I'm staying and stuff. Thankfully, I have so many friends and stuff that'll help me out. And going to Mexico with Stevie was awesome.
Yeah,
like, that was just like the same thing as going to the UK, but like on the complete opposite side of the spectrum because of the fact that neither one of us speak the language. So like it was intense. And
do your parents speak Spanish?
My mom does fluently.
Yeah.
My dad is kind of like me. He doesn't. He like can understand it, but like doesn't speak it very well.
That was one of the things I really liked on the Matt Knicks show. Was I think I watched it with the artist, the Mexican tour video. You guys were like sitting on a curb somewhere, and there was just some woman selling hot dogs off this little stand, and everything just looked so strange. I was like, it's amazing that this is this close to where we live. Like, this looks like another world. This looks like an alternate timeline where, like, technology hasn't existed. It's crazy. I can think of a highlight that it's surprising to me didn't jump to your head immediately.
Oh.
Winning the freelance tag team titles with Big C Chris Castro.
Yeah, that was 2-3 years in the making. Like, damn near 4 years in the making. And it was awesome to be able to do that and do it with Castro. Like we had some history in the past, and we've squashed said history. Well, that's we're cool.
My question is, so you guys started in freelance as tag team 4-star heroes. You guys broke up, and then you guys feuded. And then things you were with Beta, Castro was doing his thing, and then the thing happens where it comes back together, you leave Beta, you guys get back together, now you win the tag titles. How long was that seed planted? Was it always you guys were going to get back together and win the titles?
Honestly, no. It came to me, funny that it was the trip that we went to California for the first time, and we were flying home, and I couldn't sleep on the plane, and I was just like brainstorming just like ideas, and then that whole storyline of the breakup of me leaving Beta, us teaming back up, and then up to the championship when I planned it all in my head on that trip on the plane ride back home.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, this is pretty good. Like, cause I had no, there was no plans for me and Castro to get back together, and I kind of was like, this would be fun. I think people would care if this happened like this, and yeah, I'm lucky to have the disposal of running my own company to make things like that happen.
Yeah. Fuck it, we will be champs.
Well, more of the fact that it's like I have this cool idea, and I can literally I have all the pieces that I could put together and make it happen, as opposed to like somewhere else where it's like, oh, this guy can't make it, or this is this, or.
I asked when that came together and if it was the plan all along, because that angle of you guys breaking up the feud, get back together, win the titles, that's my favorite like long-term freelance story. Like, of the 4 years, like, that one I think was the best start to finish. Not that it's over, but the best, like, as far as like chapters wise go, that's my favorite. Like, I love that.
It's very I don't know, like the way I think about it, it's very like Dragon Ball Z-esque, because like a lot of the stories that they tell on the show are like drawn out for like years.
Filler episodes.
Yeah, well, in spite of the filler episodes, it's just like it'll take like something to happen. Like it'll take a long ass time, and I've always been a big fan of that. Like because I think it makes the payoff that much more sweeter. People you can appreciate it more because it's like, oh man, like it finally like that's winning the titles. It's like, oh shit, like if you followed the product from the beginning or from any other point, like you've known like what we've gone through and stuff, and it's like, oh shit, like it finally happened, like it's good for them.
On a side note, why do all wrestlers love Dragon Ball Z?
I don't know.
This is
like
a thing.
I see. So growing up, like I only had like a handful of friends. It was like like when you talk about like, oh, growing up, like I only had a handful of friends that liked wrestling.
Yeah.
I had even less friends that liked Dragon Ball Z. And like getting into wrestling, I was like, I want to do like Dragon Ball Z stuff for wrestling. And like nobody else around, like I think because when I broke into wrestling, the majority of people that I was around were people like that were in their 30s or older.
Yeah.
Like we were always the youngest kids. And I think now there's like it's been like a change. A lot of the people that I'm one of the more older people on shows now, and so everybody else is like younger and stuff. But I've seen it a lot more lately. Of a lot of people are like doing Dragon Ball Z stuff, or like they have merch that's Dragon Ball Z inspired. Yeah. And I think it also has to do with like the resurgence of it, like with the Dragon Ball Super show. I think because it's back in the mainstream that like people are kind of like jumping on the bandwagon, so to speak. Not discrediting people as fans, but like it's just kind of like, oh, like I'm gonna do this Dragon Ball Z thing because it's hot right now and people might be into it. Like makes sense, but yeah, a lot of wrestling. I think it's just because it's nerd culture and
they kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah, wrestling fans are wrestlers are wrestling fans, and wrestling fans are nerds.
We once did an episode of the 616 Entertainment podcast with Stevie Fierce. We keep just calling him Stevie. But for people who don't know, we're talking about Stevie Fierce, former Freelance Wrestling World Champion.
They know.
The guy who made it, the artist says they know. The guy who made it the Freelance Wrestling World title, because he defended it overseas. He once told me that he only became a wrestler because he cannot be in the Dragon Ball Z universe. And it's his next closest thing.
That's the title of the podcast.
It was.
I can agree with that.
He also harshly corrected me the other day. I was like, just trying to make conversation because I'm not a Dragon Ball guy. Like, I've never been too into it. I've just never been exposed to it, really.
Sure.
Other than watching a couple with you and a couple with Tara. I was like, you keeping up with DBZ? And he goes, DBS? He goes, yes, I am.
Dude,
He's such an elitist.
I was laughing so much because, like, we, like, talk about, like, because we'll each watch, like, the newest episodes when they come out, and, like, we'll talk about it, and, like, we get, like, so, like, passionately, like, invested that, like, I'm like, oh man, like, did you see when this happened, dude? I was like, I legitimately got goosebumps. I was like, I was so like, and I was like, man, I wonder, like, I miss like being this passionate about wrestling. Like,
yeah.
It's just like, it's funny that we're grown ass men talking about this cartoon, but like, it's like what we love, and like the show, it's been really good. So it's just funny to me that
it's just fun to have shit that you care about like that. Like, we just did a podcast where we reviewed Justice League. And I thought we would talk about Justice League for like a half hour. Like, we draw it out, get 30 minutes out of it, and then just me and Artis will talk to Captain McKay. We talked about Justice League for an hour and a half. And I was like, fuck it. We'll talk for 30 more minutes and we'll wrap this bitch. It's like, I just care about DC characters, and I want these movies to be so good. And Justice League I actually thought was good. So it's like, okay, I have a lot to say about this one. When you actually care about that, it's fucking awesome. And that's a great jumping point. There's no fucking floor plan for what this podcast is going to be, obviously. I'm trying to do a little more, like, interview style and so less just, like, bullshitting. But you said you wished you still cared about wrestling like that. When did you care about wrestling like that? When were you balls deep in wrestling?
I still am. Like, obviously, like, that's my whole life. Like, literally my whole life. But I think about, like, I don't remember who I said this to, but I said to them, becoming a wrestler was the best and worst thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah.
Because it's the best thing because it's what I've always wanted to do. It's my dream. It's my passion. And I finally get to do it. It's the worst thing because now I am exposed to the inner workings of it all, and I know how things are, and like, it's harder for me to watch wrestling unsubjectively. I've gotten much better about it lately, like in the last couple of years, but like it was really hard for me to watch wrestling for a while because I'd be like, oh, he's doing this wrong, like, or not that I'm critiquing them, but like you could tell by watching, like, when things like go wrong or like something happens, and you're just kind of like, it kind of takes you out of it, because you're like, you're on the other side of the curtain, you're seeing what the fans can't really see. But I'll go back and watch like old stuff that I remember as a kid, like watching it and being like, dude, like, and I laugh, like, we'll talk about guys like William Regal, for instance. Like, as a kid, I was like, dude, fuck William Regal.
Me too.
He was
so boring.
So boring. Like, he's such a like whiny little bitch. And like now, I'm like, dude, William Regal's one of the greatest wrestlers that's ever fucking laced up a pair of boots.
I talk about that on, because this is going to be episode 2 of this podcast. The first episode is for like 90 minutes, I talk about my entire history with wrestling. And like, I go year by year from when I got into it, like what I remember, what the big things were in my life for wrestling. And I think William Regal is one of the guys I touched on, where like when I was a kid, I was like, fuck him. Like, why does Jericho have to wrestle William Regal again? They just did this.
Yeah.
And like, go back and watch those matches, and they are just buttery smooth. Like, they're so good. And they fuck each other up.
Yeah.
Because that's Regal, but goddamn was Regal good.
He was so good.
I didn't know. We got like the Best of NXT Volume 1 on DVD at work. And I was like looking at the match listing, and it was like Cesaro versus Sami Zayn. I was like, okay, that sounds like a good one. It was like Cesaro versus William Regal, and I was like, excuse me?
Yeah.
I haven't seen this one.
Regal used to wrestle a lot in NXT, like before. I'm sure he's done now, but
yeah.
Like before he hung it up, he was like, his whole thing is like, I want to work with the young guys.
That's awesome.
And like he used to do stuff with Daniel Bryan a lot, like on like Superstars or whatever the hell the show was, like Main Event or whatever. And like they if you go back and watch, like, it's like the modern day Velocity.
Yep.
And
Sunday Night Heat.
Like,
Shotgun
that's where all those
Saturday night.
That's where all those like workhorse matches were happening, because like nobody's watching, like nobody in charge is watching these shows. Like, if you ever remember when like Stevie Richards was walking around calling himself like Stevie Night Heat, and like he was the commissioner of Sunday Night Heat, like,
yeah,
all of that was just him fucking around, and like nobody knew this. And as soon as somebody saw that, they were just like, "No, stop!
What are you doing?"
Like, no.
I don't know if I can say this, or if you're gonna want me to take it out. I'm gonna look at the time. We're at the 19-minute mark right now. Stevie told me that one of his dreams is to wrestle Stevie Richards and call it Stevie Night Heat.
Yeah. We talked about that. Like, we were going to do it.
This has to happen.
It's going to, well, hopefully now, but
yeah.
We talked about it for a while, and yeah, like, I was just like, because he was telling me that he wanted to wrestle Stevie Richards, and I was like, fuck yeah. I was like, we should call the show Stevie Night Heat. He was like, yes.
I was talking to him about it, and I was like, well, what do you think, like, the parameters would be? Like, do you want to win? He goes, fuck no, it's Stevie Richards.
He's such a goon.
Dude, I love Stevie. I love Stevie fierce. We need, especially now that we're talking about another Stevie, we really have to be specific. I couldn't think of that word. That's the second time today.
I know how you can get Stevie fierce to do this podcast. Just tell him you're going to do a podcast talking about Stevie Richards.
He would do it?
Maybe.
One of the questions I was going to ask you is, you kind of went into it a little bit there. It was, like, the only prepared question I have was, how is wrestling different now that you've been in it for years than what you expected it to be like?
I thought, when I was a kid, I remember, like, watching it, and I remember thinking, like, man, like, if I become a wrestler, I'm going to probably get beat up a lot. Mm-hmm. Because, like, a lot of the dudes were huge. And I was like, man, like, I was like, I don't know, like, not that I doubted that I could do it, but I was like, I don't know, like it seems like it might not be fun. Mm-hmm. And I remember, like, going, like, getting in a ring for the very first time and, like, hitting the ropes and taking bumps, and it hurt. Yeah. And I was like, oh man, like, but I was like,
sign up for?
Oh yeah, I was like, I gotta do it. I gotta stick with it. And, like, after a while, like, I guess your body gets used to it. I mean, it still hurts, but, like,
it's like building up a callus when you play guitar.
Kind of, yeah. And yeah, like, I mean, as I got into wrestling, as I got older, and then as I got into wrestling, and, you know, fast forward to now, like, the wrestling business has changed so much that, like, guys are more my size, mm-hmm. and it's like, it's not a lot of giants anymore. And
do you think that has a lot to do with, like, the Punks and the Daniel Bryans, like, making it AJ Styles? Because AJ's not as big as a lot of the guys he wrestles nowadays. No, in TNA, he didn't look small because a lot of those guys were little. Yeah. And in WWE, it's like, oh wow, he's kind of a little guy.
I definitely think that they've kind of, like, changed the mold in the sense of that those guys have always existed. Mm-hmm. I mean, like you said, other guys in TNA. I mean, you look at guys in WWE like Chris Jericho, mm-hmm. Benoit. Like, a lot of those guys were, like, smaller guys. Yeah. But those guys, along with guys, like, you know, in addition to Punk and Daniel Bryan and stuff like that, proved that you don't have to be a giant muscular guy to get over with the crowd, mm-hmm. and, like, to form a connection. Because at the end of the day, it's not about, like, it's not always about how the guy looks, or even so much as how well the guy performs in the ring. Yeah. It's how that person connects with the crowd, like, on an emotional level. And if the crowd cares about somebody, they care, that's who they care about. You know, that you can't change their mind, you can't change how they feel. Yeah. And I don't, as much as they like to try and pretend that they can, but, you know, those guys proved that, like, you didn't have to be a giant muscle-bound guy to get over the crowd and become a popular person. And, you know, eventually, you know, the powers that be were like, oh, maybe we can make money off these guys. Yeah. And slowly but surely they started filtering in a lot more. And, you know, look at where the landscape is now. Mm-hmm. Now you have those giant big guys as, like, I wouldn't say as an attraction, but, like, now they stand out. Like, look mm-hmm. at Braun Strowman. Oh, yeah, he's a monster of a human. And guess what? He's fucking over his shit.
Dude, okay, I just went to... Tara doesn't like Braun Strowman. She thinks he's boring. She also doesn't really watch Raw. Like, mm-hmm. she'll see it when I have it on. But she thinks he's boring and she doesn't want to watch him. But when I was like, babe, he's over. Believe it or not, people love him. We went to Raw on Christmas in Chicago. And when that... Raw! Like, when his music hits, the pop was insane. The three biggest pops of the night were Braun Strowman, Matt Hardy, who go back a couple years and try to get anyone to believe that Matt Hardy's pop on Raw would be like crazy, but it was. And then surprisingly, like one of the biggest ones, like when Paige's music hit, people were like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah.
Like some of like just not the attractions, but some of like the guys and girls that you would not think are the huge ones on the show. People fucking love them now, and it was like, this is so much fun. Like everything is fresh, everything is different. And that makes me, okay, here, what do you think about this? Because you're in wrestling. What do you think, why do you think things are the way they are now, where when we were kids and Triple H was like the main heel, everybody hated Triple H, and we wanted RVD to win the title, we wanted Jericho to win the title. And those were the good guys. Nowadays, the fucking good guys are all booed, and all the bad guys are cheered. And when something happens, the entire fan base is like, fuck, I'm not going to watch anymore. Fuck this. And then they just keep watching. Is it social media?
I definitely think social media takes a big hand in that.
Yeah.
I also think it's the company not listening to what the fans want.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, like look at Roman Reigns, for instance. Like, he's not bad.
No, he's not.
He's
at all.
fine. I think he's great. He looks great.
Mm-hmm.
He has all the tools to be, you know, quote unquote, the guy.
Mm-hmm.
But like, if the crowd is just like, we don't like him, what are you gonna do? Like, if they're not feeling it, you can't just like force them to like him. Like and that's why you see these people like revolting almost, and then you're just making it worse. You're making it worse, and you're it's going to be a lot harder for him to get over naturally again, unless you flip him heel, and then they're just like, oh, we like him because he's a bad guy.
Well,
now.
they're doing the Shield thing, which is kind of working.
It has. Oh, it definitely has.
I think you're onto something with the you can't force it. I feel like back in the day, like The Rock is the perfect example. Like Rocky Maivia, he's smiley and shit. People were like, he sucks, fuck him. And then the company was like, shit, fuck this, abort, and they changed it.
Yeah.
Where nowadays, if they had a Rocky Maivia, they'd be like, no, you love him. Trust us, you love him.
Yeah.
Look, he won the world title. Don't you love him?
And then when he doesn't get over, they're
Yeah.
like, this guy's awful. We need to fire him. And then it's his fault because that he's not connecting with the crowd. Mm-hmm. But it's not.
It's
he's just doing out there to do his job. He's doing what he's told to do.
It's a weird thing, and I think a lot of people give WWE too much credit for the Daniel Bryan storyline about how like, oh, it was a slow burn. You got to be patient. I just think they ran out of options. I think it got to the point where they were just like, just fuck it, just do it.
100%.
You know, and so many people like craft this mastermind story that like it was a year in the making, and it was like, no, they just gave up because they were like, we're wrong, fuck it.
Yeah, it's like the.
Because honestly, they lost me. I was over it. I was like, okay, I'm not that guy who will go on the internet and I'm like, I'm not going to watch anymore. I will just stop watching. You know.
Yeah.
And when it seemed like it was going to be like Batista and Orton at WrestleMania for the world title, I was like, okay, I'm out. Sorry, guys. But then they flipped the script, and I was like, okay, I'm listening.
Yeah, it was.
So they salvaged it because I think they realized I was one of many who was like,
a lot of people that were.
This is boring. What as far as like back to you and your accomplishments, give me a couple of your favorite matches you had in 2017.
Gosh, if I couldn't even remember. Well, the tag title match that we just had with Beta was really fun. Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed that one.
That one was super fun. Artis and I were at that show, and the match starts, and you guys are fighting outside the ring, going up on the stage, going through the crowd. That was so much fun.
The best is like, I'm fighting with Craig, because we didn't plan any of that. Mm-hmm. Like, when we planned the match, we were just like, so we'll brawl and then eventually get back to the ring, and then that's when we planned like the match. So like all the stuff that was like brawling was just like called on the fly.
Yeah.
And I'm fighting with Craig up to the stage, and I grab him like, "You want to take a slam on the stage?" And he's like, "Not really." I was like, "Shit, all right." And as I sat him in the stage, or I sat him on the chair, and I kind of just gave him like a running cannonball or something.
Not really.
Yeah, he's just like, not really. Like,
Did the chair break?
no, the chair didn't break. Thanks.
I remember the stories. Like, it seemed like every freelance show, you guys would break a chair, and you told me after a show, you're like, you realize every chair that breaks cost me $100, right?
Yeah, it was hell. I'm so glad I don't have to rent chairs anymore.
Yeah.
God, that was
those chairs are like $14 at Walmart, and those fuckers charge $100.
I driving around for Lyft. I actually drove past the place that I would rent the chairs from, and I was like, oh, there it is. Mm-hmm. I never knew where it was. So I was just like, oh. Let me think. We had one of the matches in Mexico I really enjoyed. It was me and Stevie versus Drastic Boy and Cobre. Mm-hmm. It was just like all over the place. And the Cobra dude, I want to bring him to Freelance so bad.
Do it.
He's like Rey Mysterio. Like, he's so small. Like, he's like shorter than Olsen.
Jesus
and
Christ.
He's so good. And he climbed up this ledge that was like 20 feet in the air and just did a moonsault off onto us.
Amazing.
He's insane.
That reminds me of a tweet I put up the other day of I was watching, I think it was ECW One Night Stand 2005 because you tweeted about it. And I responded to you and I was like, I remember watching that live with my dad, and there's a part where Super Crazy does a moonsault off a balcony, and I went, that was insane! And then my dad just comes out of nowhere, gets in the Superfly pose and goes, that's why they call him Super Crazy. I was like, what the fuck was that?
I can't picture your dad doing it.
It was amazing. He was in one of those moods. It was amazing.
God. I'm trying to think what other matches that...
Yeah, give me another one or two.
I had two really fun matches at IW Mid-South this year.
Yeah.
With these two young kids named Cole Raddick and Jonathan Wolf.
I think I know Jonathan Wolf.
I really enjoyed both of those matches. Pretty much every match that I had at Championship Wrestling from Hollywood this year was a lot of fun.
I saw many GIFs from that show.
Yes.
I feel like that's how you can tell a match was good, when the guy in the match is sharing all the GIFs from it.
You can watch all of those matches on Fight TV if you search Championship Wrestling from Hollywood.
Great plug.
All the shows are on there. You could also watch on your local TV, but I don't know what that is.
Dude, I remember when Freelance was on TV.
Yeah,
that was so much fun.
I'm trying to think. I can't even remember like most of the matches that I've had this year. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there was a lot more that I enjoyed as well. I mean, I will say this: there's probably less than 5 matches that I legitimately didn't enjoy. Every match that I've had, I've kind of like enjoyed it in some way.
You want to talk about any of those ones you didn't like?
You
can spare the names of the innocent or the guilty, but just say why they were bad. What you didn't like about them.
Well, I mean, like, I don't even know if I could think of any offhand, really. Mm-hmm. I know there was one match that, like, it was an 8-man scramble at another company, and it was just very difficult to put it together because it was like, hey, scramble, real easy. Like, let's just do this, this, and this, and then, go grab some beers. Mm-hmm. But everybody in the match just wanted to do different stuff, and it made it very difficult to kind of put it together.
Yeah.
And the match itself was, like, fine. Not great. It's just whatever. But I ended up enjoying it a lot more than I thought I would have. But, like, the idea of putting it together was very stressful and didn't like it. But
you said right there that you, when I said, what are some of your favorite matches? You're like, oh, if I can remember. And I said, what about some ones you didn't like? You're like, oh, if I can remember. I asked somebody recently who's a wrestler, I won't say who it was, just because I don't know if they want anybody knowing, if they feel like they've ever experienced like any brain trauma in wrestling. And he was like, oh, fuck yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
He told me a bunch of stories. Have you ever been like knocked out or concussed bad?
Ooh, this is actually a good one.
Okay.
It just reminded me of a match that I had that I enjoyed. Because I wrestled Jake Parnell at PCWS in the St. Louis area. Mm-hmm. First time we've ever wrestled each other one-on-one, and I actually really enjoyed the match. But it was like right in the beginning of the match, he just smoked me with a kick to the head.
Yeah. Temple, chin.
Like temple-ish area.
Yeah.
And he hit me, and I immediately saw stars. Like, legitimately saw stars.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of just, like, shook it off, and then, like, did the rest of the match, and it was fine. And then afterwards, I'm sitting in the locker room, and I'm just, like, slowly started getting a headache. And I'm just like, oh, my God, my head hurts so bad. And then I end up walking outside just throwing up.
You got concussed, dog.
Very much so. But it's, I mean, I don't blame him. Like, it was an accident.
Yeah, that shit happens.
Because literally, as soon as he kicked me, he grabs me by the head and goes, I am so sorry. Like, it was
He
fine.
must have felt that fucker connect.
Yeah. But it also could have been my fault, too, because I'm an idiot, and, like, I do this a lot without even thinking.
Mm-hmm.
People will throw strikes, and I'll kind of, like, throw my head into it just to make it look better. And
that's love for the art, man.
that one, I'll have to show you that later. Like,
I want to see it.
I have
big
the video
time.
for that.
Have you ever been knocked clean out?
Not clean out, but
Yeah.
I know there was one time a couple years ago I did a flip dive to the outside. It was like double trouble brain damage for me.
Oh Jesus!
The guy who was catching me, it wasn't his fault either. It just kind of was the way the cards fell.
Mm-hmm.
I did the flip to the outside, and he caught me. But the way he caught me, he basically accidentally powerbombed the back of my head off the ring apron. So my head clips the apron on the way down, and then my head bounces off the floor as well. And I felt like boom, 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 and I'm like laying on the ground, like my vision just went black, and I'm just like, fuck this, and I just rolled underneath the ring, and I was like, because it was at that point I was done with the match anyway.
Yeah.
But so I remember just rolling underneath the ring, and then next thing I know, I was like in the locker room, and I was like, oh hey everyone.
That's not good.
But after that I was fine. Like I didn't have any headaches.
Yeah.
Or anything. Like, so I was kind of just like, I'm fine.
I've known you for 3-4 years now. How long?
I think I texted you this recently.
5?
Almost 5 years.
Yeah.
Or maybe. Maybe close to 5 years because it was.
We met at a Resistance Pro show.
Did we meet before or after we were on your podcast?
The day we met, you came on the podcast. Episode 11.
I don't think we met Nick at the show. We met Castro, but I don't think we. But then Nick, you and Castro came over. And I think that was the first time you met Nick.
And we recorded episode 11, which was so long it got split into 2 parts. It was
Because
the first time we hit 3 hours.
Because of Castro.
Oh, he was smashed.
His story about how his ex-girlfriend killed someone.
Dude, he told me he was hanging with her recently.
I know!
He was like, she's cool. I was like, till she hears that.
Jesus Christ.
So hopefully she doesn't listen to this one.
Gotta get her on the podcast.
No way, dude. I don't want to hang out with murderers.
You gotta have the other side of the story.
I'm pretty sure I know what happened. I was drawing the time back there because it was like, I've known you that long. I've never known you, like, hurt or fucked up. You've never had a cast. I've never seen you on crutches. I've never seen you any of that shit as you cross your
Knock on
fingers.
wood.
Yeah, that's bullshit. Cardboard shit from IKEA. Knock on this part of the... That's some real shit. You know
There
what I'm
we
saying?
go. Thankfully, I mean, I'm pretty banged up right now, but like...
Yeah. Where are you banged up at? How you feeling?
My shoulders all jacked up.
Just fucked up.
my neck is messed up.
Mine too. I just slept weird though.
My knee was pretty bad, but like since I haven't been wrestling for the last couple of weeks, like it's been better. But I'm supposed to be going. I'm going to the doctor. I gotta make an appointment. I was gonna wait until the new year, so I didn't have to like. My mom was like, if you're gonna go to the doctor, like wait until the new year. So like something with the deductibles or whatever, like you don't have to pay them right away or something. I don't know.
You scared to go to the doctor to find out what's actually wrong?
A little bit. But I'm also like, if the doctor was kind of just like, you can't wrestle ever again, I don't know if I'd be too upset. I mean, I would be, but like...
Yeah. It's
no,
like a way out.
I'd much rather, like, if it's something now, I'd much rather get it looked at and taken care of before it becomes an actual issue.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But, no, I'm gonna, like, actually, like, I want to, like, start going to the doctor more often.
I mean, we should at our age.
Yeah.
We should be going to the doctor.
I honestly don't even remember the last time I've ever been to a doctor.
I don't either. Oh, you know what? It wasn't even a doctor. I had to go to the hospital because I had pneumonia. And it was like I was going to die.
I think that was the last time I went, was hospital for... I had cellulitis.
What the fuck is that?
It is a flesh-eating virus.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Where'd you get that?
I never really found out. I think the best bet was from the wrestling mats in high school.
Okay.
It was my senior year of high school. And I remember I had, like, it was, like, right here.
Mm-hmm. Under your armpit.
Yeah, like, just below the armpit on my side. Like, almost, like, in line with my nipple.
Mm-hmm.
I had, like, a bump there. And it itched. And I was like, oh, like, it looked like it would have been a spider bite or something. And that's kind of what we thought at first.
That's usually how staph infections start.
That might have been what it was, too. Who knows?
It probably was. Here, you keep talking. I gotta show you something.
And... like I think like the next day, like at that night, I was getting like pains in my side.
Mm-hmm.
Like it literally felt like somebody was jamming a knife into my side and twisting it,
mm-hmm.
and it would like it hurt, and then it would go away, and then like maybe 10 minutes later it would happen again, but like more intense, and it would go away, and then again like almost 10 minutes apart, and it got to the point like it was the middle of the night, and I go to my mom and I go, Ma, like, we gotta go to the hospital. Like, I literally feel like I'm being, like, stabbed here. And, so we go to the hospital and stuff, and they check me in and everything, and the doctor's like, hey, so, like, it's a really good thing that you came, because, like, if you would have waited, like, another day, like, this would have killed you. Like, I was like, whoa, okay.
That sounds like a staph infection, and what made me think of it was, like, I remember the first time I heard about a staph infection, it was Joe Rogan was telling a story about Ari Shaffir. He said that they went and they were playing pool at a bar and Ari was limping. And Joe's like, what'd you do to your knee? And he's like, I got this spider bite and it hurts. And Joe's like, spider bite, let me see it. Because Joe's seen that shit before. As a jiu-jitsu black belt, he's seen plenty of staph and he knows what it's like. And Ari showed it to him. He goes, we need to go to the hospital right now. Like, we need to go right now. That's a staph infection. And you pointed under your armpit. The UFC fighter who's dead now, Kevin Randleman, had a staph infection under his armpit, and he waited too long to get it treated, and it did start eating his flesh, and it ate holes right in him.
Whoa.
Right under his armpit.
Yep.
So it's a good thing you went to the hospital, because it will kill you. It'll just eat away at you until you're dead.
That, wow.
It's gross.
I never realized that could have been a staph infection. I mean, chances are it was.
Yeah. I don't know what cellulitis is, but maybe it's like a specific term for...
Maybe. I just remember that being said.
Yeah.
But they put me on antibiotics and stuff, and I was there for like almost the whole day, and then like they released me, and then I was. It's funny because I was in the school's fall play,
mm-hmm.
and I made it to do my performance.
Amazing.
That same day.
Dude, the show must go on.
Had to, man. My role was I was sitting on a couch. I had to be there.
What are you looking forward to in wrestling in 2018? What are your goals? What do you want to do?
I was just talking to Stevie about this. Stevie Fierce. Not Stevie Richards. We know we're talking.
I would talk to him though. Got to get him on the podcast.
Yeah, we were talking about this, and I kind of was just like, really, my goal is just like, I just want to have more fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to keep having fun in wrestling, and like, we were talking about like, you know, people that have like buzz or whatever, and he's like, I was like, I don't know. I was like, I don't think people give a fuck about me. Like, and he was just like, well, you gotta like find something and like force people to care about you. And I was like,
mm-hmm.
I don't want to force people to like me though. I was like, I want it to be like natural. I was like, I'm just gonna like with him, like he kind of just is himself and fucks around and like,
mm-hmm.
and that's what got over. And I was like, well, maybe that'll happen to me at some point. And so I just want to have more fun. I want to travel more. Travel. I want to go back to the UK. I want to go back to Mexico. I want to make it to Japan, but I also want to make it to like obscure countries. Like I want to go to Peru.
Oh, that's a cool goal.
and I want to go to.
Who the fuck's wrestling in Peru?
There's wrestling there. There's wrestling everywhere.
What happens in Peru? What's going on over there? I've never heard anyone be like, I want to go to Peru.
Well, I want to go to Peru because I want to visit the Nazca lines.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with that. They're like those giant like etchings in the earth of like giant like bugs.
Yeah,
or, like
Quetzalcoatl.
Yeah,
that giant bird god thing. Yeah. Did you ever read Fingerprints of the Gods?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, that fucking book. I learned a lot in that book, and I was like, I don't know what the deal is with any of this shit. This shit is fucking freaky.
So I want to go there, but I also want to go to India.
Mm-hmm.
There's wrestling in India now. Like Kali owns a promotion.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so I want to try to go there too. But I just want to, I want to visit these places in general. Yeah. But I'm also like, fuck it. Like, if there's wrestling there, I might as well make a wrestling trip out of it.
Wrestle in front of all those crowds. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All these different crowds. You talk about having fun. I used to listen to a lot of wrestling podcasts, and I stopped listening to wrestling podcasts altogether. I just, like, cut down the amount of shit I would listen to, partially because I was so fucking busy. But I just recently listened to Cabana's interview with Alex Shelley. Which I thought was really interesting. And he said that some of the best advice he ever got was from Kevin Nash. And he said that Nash told him, he was like, the biggest moments I ever had in my career were when I was out there having fun. He's like, people can tell when you're having fun. And people can tell when you are not having fun. He's like, so just do your best to work with your friends and have fun, and you'll be successful. And Alex Shelley was like, I took that to heart, and he was very right. He was very right about that.
Yeah.
But you saying you want to have more fun, it's like, well, it sounds like that's the fucking plan, man. You know what I'm saying? That's a pretty good goal to have. Just enjoy it more.
Yeah. Life's too short to be miserable all the time.
I would tend to agree with that. If before we wrap, I want to ask some stuff that's not like your personal career, but more as you as a fan. Ooh. Give me your like top 3, 4, 5 wrestlers of all time. Not like, oh, they're the greatest technicians. Like, who do you love to watch?
In no particular order.
Yeah, no pressure. So no order.
I would say Shawn Michaels, Eddie Guerrero, Jericho, Macho Man, Jushin Thunder Liger.
Nice.
And then, as honorable mention, I will say any Terry Funk or Mick Foley matches.
My eye,
forever. my favorite recent one is not recent, but like my new one that I like is when Funk was wrestling Chris Candido in a WCW Thunder show, and they fought into like a horse stable, and he finished the match. He gives Candido the pile driver in the horse stable right next to the horse. Yeah. And spooks the horse, and the horse back kicks him right in the arm.
I remember that.
And Terry Funk goes, "Fuck you, horse! I'll beat your ass!" And I'm like, dude, Terry Funk's the man.
I cannot believe he's still alive.
Dude.
Like,
he's still wrestling.
No fucking way.
He had 3 matches this year. Or no, 2 matches.
Jesus.
He has another match set up for this year. His brother, Dory Funk Jr., who is damn near 80, has had 5 matches in 2017.
How do they still... Well, Dory Funk was doing the dumbbells on the trampoline, if you saw Beyond the Mat, so he's staying in shape. But how fucking old is Terry?
Terry's younger than Dory.
He looked 60 in 1991.
He's like ageless though. I feel like he's the same age. Like he doesn't look any older.
It's because he always looked old.
Yeah, he was born that way.
Give me some of your favorite, like top 5, no order, no pressure, favorite matches of all time.
Just to come to mind, I think. My all-time favorite match is the Michaels Bret Hart Iron Man from WrestleMania 12. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I really like. There's this match from a Ring of Honor show in like 2004. It's AJ Styles versus Paul London.
Ooh, how you doing?
It's a really good match. Night of Grudges is the name of the show. God, gosh, what am I thinking now? One Night Stand at 05. Masato Tanaka versus Mike Awesome.
Dude, that match is fucking insane.
That match, goddamn.
How about the part where Mike Awesome jumps over the top rope and Joey Styles is just like, Mike Awesome with a suicide dive, and it's a shame he didn't succeed in taking his own life. And then like a year later, Mike Awesome killed himself in real life. And Joey Styles like, I'm sorry, I got emotional, but god damn it.
The amount of shit that he said on the commentary that night, I was like...
Yeah,
I remember even back then, I was like, whoa.
He was getting away with a lot.
Trying to think. You said something about Sami Zayn versus Cesaro. Mm-hmm. Go back and watch the 2 out of 3 falls match that they had.
That was the one on the DVD.
It is so good.
Yeah.
That was back when I was watching NXT like religiously back then.
Yeah.
That match made Sami Zayn.
Yeah.
Like that was the match that like when after that like the WWE fans were like, yo, Sami Zayn.
See, I'm really happy for him. I don't watch SmackDown because I don't have time, but like I wish I had time, and maybe I'll try and find some, because it seems like they're finally getting behind him and giving him something by putting him with Owens.
A little bit. He's kind of just like a lackey, but
yeah. But
better than nothing.
My one buddy Giuseppe described him as like he's just such like an annoying cunt. And he's so good at that.
Yeah.
And like, just that gif of him pulling his belly out.
That's the artist. Dude, so I went to SmackDown.
You're the second person that posted that gif.
Dude, I was looking...
Posted that like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
I was looking specifically when I was at SmackDown the night after Christmas. He was doing this thing that I was trying so hard to find the video of it to post it, because I remember when you posted the video of you dancing in the fucking in the store.
Yeah.
I don't know what store it was. Did you guys like
Walmart from like 2009?
He was in the ring, zipping his hoodie out, unzipping his hoodie, and he was doing the same dance. I was like, whoa, dude! It blew my mind.
Stealing my gimmick,
dude. It was like I wish I fucking filmed it.
Sami Zayn would it be if Sami Zayn was a fan of 616? It was just like, I'm gonna start doing that guy.
Oh, yeah. Dude, that'd be amazing. What if he cut a promo, and he was just like, Shane McMahon, you know, you're out here, you're trying to cost us our jobs. Well, you can take this job and shove it, you and your fat mama.
Oh, dude, I would.
And then he's like, he does the artist dance.
I would lose my mind.
That was a bad promo. I was off. I didn't have good rhythm, but
that dude, the gif of him doing the belly thing though, I'm just like, dude, that's fucking like so. It's like it's scary. It's scary how spot on.
The how many matches did you give me? Did you give me 3?
Yeah,
give me a couple more. All-time favorites. You know you've got those matches. Like, one of the matches, I don't know if I would put it in my top 10, because that's going to be a future episode where I'm going to go super in-depth on my top 10. But I have seen the Bad Blood 97 Michaels Undertaker Hell in a Cell match so many times. And I love that fucking match. It might be in my top 10.
I'll definitely say this actually might be my favorite match, to be honest.
Yeah.
Halloween Havoc 97, Rey Mysterio versus Eddie Guerrero.
I just watched that a couple months ago.
That is my earliest memory of watching professional wrestling.
Really?
That match specifically. That show, because I was at my cousin's house. He had it on, and I was just like, what is this? Like, and then I guess like I'm just trying to think of like awesome matches that I can think of off the top of my head. It's from Barely Legal, ECW's first pay-per-view.
97 as well.
Yeah. It's the Michinoku Pro 6-man tag on that show is just bonkers.
I don't know if I've seen that.
It's just like, it's ridiculous because they're just like fucking everywhere.
Stuff.
It's literally, it was like one of the first times that like that style of wrestling was done in the United States, and the crowd was just like, what the fuck are we watching?
You know what that kind of reminds me of is I was at the Ring of Honor show in '06, the fucking Dragon Gate tag match. I was there. Dude. I was there with my dad, and we were watching it. We were both just like, "What the fuck is going on?" And then I found out years later it was like the first U.S. match that had gotten 5 stars in like a decade.
Yeah,
and I was like, "Holy shit!" I was there for history. That's awesome.
I was there too for that. Like that.
You were there too?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That was Again, the same, like, just like you're watching, you're just like, what am I watching? Like,
I wonder if you and I ever crossed paths at those Ring of Honor shows and we didn't know.
Maybe.
We probably did.
Those, I used to go from 2005 to 2010. I didn't miss a single Ring of Honor show in Chicago.
You were there the night Punk superplexed Jimmy Ray from the top of the cage? Yep, I was there too. Were you there for... Obviously, if you said that, you were there. The last one I went to was the debut of Age of the Fall.
Yeah, I was there
Fiend
for that.
Generico versus Briscoe's ladder match, and then that was it, right?
Yeah,
and then it was
that match was fucking insane.
It was insane, and who was it? It was Seth Rollins, aka Tyler Black at the time, Jimmy Jacobs, and who was
Butcher.
Was it Necro?
I think it might have just been the two.
For some reason, I thought there was like a third guy, or there was a girl with him, right?
Maybe.
I just remember I had never seen this before, and no one's ever done it since, as far as I know. The ladder match ended, and they brought like the cable with the loop for the belt down, and they tied it around Briscoe's legs, and they raised him up, so he was like crucified upside down, and he was bleeding onto Jimmy Jacobs, who was wearing this like white jacket. And the blood was just getting all over him, and I was like, "This is unbelievable."
The visual is just incredible.
It was fucking incredible, is the word. That was awesome.
Yes.
I think this podcast was awesome.
Hell
Let's wrap this fucker. What do you got coming up?
Got a lot of wrestling coming up soon.
Yeah.
Like you said, you don't know when this is going to be going up, but as of right now, next week have wrestling, my first match of the new year, and got a couple dates lined up for return to Canada and freelance next week. I don't know.
This boy's going to Canada.
Yeah,
that's
Canadian
pretty sweet.
Boy.
Canadian boy, Canadian boy. That's my Canadian boy song, dude.
But a lot of fun stuff coming up. hopefully 2018 is as good as 2017 was for me wrestling wise.
I can't wait to see you and Castro defend those freelance wrestling tag team titles.
Hell yeah.
And you know what I was thinking? I was thinking now, because it's winter, would probably be a good time to buy a freelance wrestling hoodie.
Yes.
Or a freelance wrestling t-shirt. Maybe, warm up with those and watch a freelance wrestling DVD. Where can I buy this stuff?
Well, maybe at freelancewrestling.com.
Amaze. Yeah, let's get the fuck out of here.
Tees.
Pro Wrestling Tees, too. What are you guys doing?
We got stuff.
How much stuff?
Lots of stuff. Every stuff.
Whoa.
Literally everything. But if you go, you can get Matt Knicks shirts and stuff there at prowrestlingtees.com/Matt Knicks.
Give me, who sells the most shit? Give me the top 5.
Top 5?
Yeah. Obviously Bullet Club #1.
I think it's Bullet Club, and then it's like Kenny Omega, Young Bucks, Marty Scurll. Like it's Bullet Club, and then all the members of the Bullet Club.
Jesus
are
Christ.
like the top sellers.
I see more Bullet Club shirts just coming into my work and out in the wild than I ever saw NWO shirts. It's insane.
It's insane. It's
super crazy.
It's super crazy.
What are you doing for, not that we have to include this in the podcast, what are you doing for Wrestle Kingdom? Omega Jericho.
I don't know yet. Because it's a Thursday.
Yeah.
So
I got shit going on.
I gotta see, because we're leaving, we're wrestling in Alabama the next day.
Oh.
So I don't know. I want to watch it live, but I'm also realistically, is that a good idea?
I hear you. We love you, Daniels. Thanks for listening to the Wrestling Podcast, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Hey.
FreelanceWrestling.com. Artist, what do you think? Come say something over here real quick. Hurry up.
I'm not included on this show.